Welcome back to the Beyond the Wormhole series in Kerbal space program. Today we're taking this giant interstellar craft using the far future technology parts to the shattered lava planet Onrefni in the Kcalbeloh planet pack orbiting close to the black hole. We just lifted off the pad here, kind of got like an SLS configuration here with a huge fairing payload on the top. We're kind of launching in a rainstorm, which is not super realistic. They'd probably scrub this, but I think it's cool to show off the true volumetric clouds, which is what makes these clouds look all puffy in 3D. Highly recommend getting that visual mod. But yeah, we're just starting our gravity turn here, and we just staged those radial boosters, and we're just cruising towards our apoapsis and then circularization. Still have to bump that apoapsis up a little bit higher though. Alright, just staged out that first main booster. Now we're into our circularization kind of stage here. And we just staged that fairing. That's our interstellar craft there on the top. It uses a mirror cell fusion engine, which requires a bunch of radiators from the system heat add-on to the Far Future Tech mod. Yeah, and then I'm also using the stock-alike station parts expansion redux centrifuge here. That mod has a few centrifuges, but that's just where my centrifuge is from. This will give my Kerbals a nice little interior with some artificial gravity to hang out in during this multi-year voyage. And we've just lit up that mirror cell fusion engine, and we're on our way out of the Kerbin system. Alright, now it's time to start that transfer burn all the way to Sarnus, which is the Saturn analog to the Kerbal system if you have the Outer Planets mod installed. Kcalbeloh places a wormhole orbiting around Sarnus, which connects to the Kerbal system, allowing for, faster travel across these interstellar distances. So that's where we're headed right now, but if you don't have Outer Planets mod installed, it'll place the wormhole around Yooo, so you're covered there. And now let's check out the interior of my ship using free IVA, which allows you to traverse the interior of these parts. Looks like we got some living quarters here with some sleeping bags on the wall. And if we continue down here, it looks like we got a little storage section here. And then a little bit further down, we can find the entrance to the centrifuge. So just grab onto that ladder there and traverse down here. And then you have something resembling gravity from the centrifugal force or whatever. Anyway, that's how centrifuges work. It's got really cool interiors. Looks like a little hardware station here, some computers, and over here, some more sleeping quarters. Some even more sleeping quarters. And it looks like we got a little exercise area here for these treadmills and some storage. And yeah, that brings us all the way back around. So I'm going to go back to my pilot's chair, and we'll continue on our way to Sarnus and then through the wormhole onto the Kcalbeloh system. Just got to make the jump all the way back up here. Guess I'll just leave all those doors open. Cool, so I still have to make a kind of trajectory adjustment to correct my inclination relative to Sarnus, and that'll actually get us our encounter. It's just a really small burn, and we should have our flyby. Alright, looks like we've got a flyby here. I just have to trim it a little bit more so that it's kind of on the same orbital plane. And then what I'm going to try to do is a kind of thread the needle maneuver through the wormhole, which is that orbit that I've just set as my target, kind of further out from the planet. You don't actually have to circularize or, to dip into the wormhole to even enter it. So you actually save delta V, in my opinion, if you just fly straight through it, which is what I'm trying to do here. So I'm trying to encounter it at my periapsis and warping ahead a few years till we've entered the Sarnus system. There's Sarnus on the left. I just have to adjust my trajectory through the wormhole. I like going like straight through the center. I think it gives like a more dramatic kind of like visual. You'll see in a moment. Anyway, there's the wormhole. Okay, we're on the other side. We're actually just escaping the orbit of a planet called Sarah, which the wormhole orbits around on this side. And this planet orbits the Sun-Orc system, which is kind of what I have zoomed out here. There's a couple stars that orbit the black hole Kcalbeloh. And so what we're doing here is we're trying to burn and escape this star system, retrograde to its orbital direction, which will end up lowering our periapsis on the other side of our orbit, closer to the black hole. So it's a pretty big burn. It's going to take like several days, or at least a day, and so that's what persistent thrust is good for. It's a mod that allows you to non-physics time warp while burning, and it really saves time for these interstellar kind of like really high delta V burns, because a lot of these are really efficient, like far future or near future engines have a really low thrust to weight ratio, but they're really efficient, so the burns take forever. And now we're just kind of drifting out of the Sun-Orc system, which you can see kind of shrinking behind us. That's where we came from, and now we're on our way close to the black hole. I'm just going to make a quick inclination adjustment while I'll do as much of the inclination adjustment as I can, and the tweaking while I'm up high above the black hole. It's a little bit more efficient. I mean, quite a bit more efficient, actually. So I'll do as much as I can there, and fast forward till we've reached our periapsis. And here's our first really good look at the black hole. I just have to finish up that inclination match burn down here. It's pretty expensive, but I have the fuel for it, so it's fine. And then we should be ready to set up an encounter with Onrefni, which is this kind of like cracked or shattered like rocky planet orbiting really close to the black hole. I think it's like tearing up the crust or whatever from the tidal forces, the extreme tidal forces from orbiting the black hole, as well as kind of like the environment from orbiting inside the accretion disk. So right now I'm just pulling retrograde on that maneuver planner so that we can slow down and get a flyby as well. Alright, looks like we've got our encounter once we've set up and executed this maneuver. So I'll just charge up that engine here. You have to like charge up these engines using like a nuclear reactor because they take a lot of power. Anyways, I'll be warping through this burn because it takes like multiple days. Slowing down really close to the black hole takes insane amounts of delta V. I think it takes like actually I'm not sure, but I know that like getting back up to Sun-Orc after slowing down around the black hole and circularizing takes like 80,000 meters per second of delta V from the altitude of the orbit of Onrefni. So you're going to need some beefy or like high-tech parts to do these kinds of missions close to the black hole here. Alright, we've got our flyby, and now I just have to adjust my orbit so that I'm kind of making a pass on the equator or somewhere around there. And I'll just see how much it takes to circularize really quick. Quite a bit. Another multi-day burn ahead of us. And so since the burn is going to take much longer than we are even going to be passing through the sphere of influence of the planet, we're going to kind of treat this almost as if it's a orbital rendezvous with an asteroid. So we're going to start burning well in advance. And the way I've kind of like figured out when to burn is I'll just like look at the time to maneuver on my circularization maneuver planner, and then kind of just look at the burn time, and then, you know, use that to deduct when I should start my burn. And then, you know, your trajectory is actually going to change over time in ways that the maneuver planner didn't super expect. Not always super accurate over these long duration burns. So I'm just kind of like tweaking here and there to make sure I don't end up crashing into the planet on accident. Okay, we've slowed down enough to actually finish our circularization, and we'll check out some views of the planet from up high in orbit. Right now I'm executing kind of a burn to lower my periapsis down to the planet so that we can get a more low altitude orbit from which to deploy our lander. Okay, now that we're sitting in a low altitude orbit, about 20,000 meters above the planet, we can start getting our astronauts into the lander here with a quick spacewalk. Also check it out firsthand, the view from orbit. So this is the free IVA view of the cockpit here. And let's get one more Kerbal in there. Just get in the seat there, and then we'll detach and then burn away from the mothership after we light these engines here. Okay, we're kind of aiming for this big crater here with this kind of like lava river running through it. So we're just on descent right now towards the crater. And there's the crater rim in the horizon there. We'll just have to start our retrograde burn here. If you don't notice those landing legs there on the side, those 3 landing legs, those are from the Near Future spacecraft mod from the Near Future suite. But we're just about to touch down here. Okay, we've landed. We're carrying like this rover underneath the rocket, so I have to detach that and then kind of fly over out of the way. And then that's how we got our rover to the surface. And let's get out and put boots on the ground. Gotta plant a flag too. There's some science. If you want to pause it and read, it's pretty interesting about the physics of the planet. And just getting this rover seat here. We're going to go on a ride today over to the kind of canyon edge of one of these lava canyons. So it's pretty cool. We've got a ton of science instruments on this guy. Pretty cool rover. We'll be on our way. All these rocks here on the surface are added with the Parallax Scatterer mod. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, we've just about reached the edge of this lava canyon here. Gotta check out the view. And as always, we have to drive straight off the edge in true Kerbal fashion and see what happens. I got a quick save, so we can do it again. We can do it as many times as we want, which is cool. And no harm, no foul. That looks like it would give you a headache. Cool. Those quick saves are super important for stuff like that. And now that we've explored the planet a little bit, it's probably time to drive back to our lander and get ready to rendezvous with the mothership back in orbit. Another cool feature of the free IVA mod is it is packaged with this kind of thing that allows you to like see first person. Oh. Well, I just rolled the rover. But that's okay. We're done using it. Just gonna have to walk the rest of the way. Get in our seat there. And then get the other Kerbal in as well. Cool, and then we can lift off the surface here to rendezvous with the mothership. Just stage that bottom stage. This top stage is going to get us basically all the way into orbit. Since there's not really a substantial atmosphere on this planet, I'm kind of just burning almost completely horizontally to build up a bunch of lateral speed as well to get into orbit more efficiently. There's a cool view of the crater we're leaving behind. Now I'm just completing my circularization to get us into orbit, and we're going to have to rendezvous with the mothership, so I've just plotted an inclination matching burn, and then we'll be able to plan our kind of like flyby and then complete our rendezvous. So we've got those close encounter markers there, and warping ahead till we've passed by the mothership, and then we'll burn all our horizontal speed away, our relative speed that is, and then burn towards it and rinse and repeat, kind of the classic docking method. Now I encountered this like weird glitch where the separate ships start kind of like spinning out of control, so I wasn't really able to dock these guys, but I'll just spacewalk them back into the mothership, so that's okay. You'll see here in a second. Okay, we've got all our Kerbals back on board. Now it's time to start planning our return to Kerbin. So I'm just burning prograde to escape the orbit of the planet, and we're going to have to do another really huge burn to rendezvous all the way back up to the Sun Orc system, where the planet Sarah has the wormhole that connects to the Kerbal system orbiting it. I'm going to fast forward kind of like through this whole process with a little montage, because it's basically the same maneuvers that we used to get here, but in reverse. So, yeah. So we have to burn, this is the longest burn, I think, to get our apoapsis all the way up to intersect the orbit of the Sun Orc system. It took like 80,000 meters per second of delta V, which is crazy. And we can see the Sun Orc system growing in the distance there on the left. And this is kind of just my circularization maneuver around the system at the periapsis of the altitude of the planet Sarah. Just executing that burn right now. And then we're going to adjust our flyby so that we can do the thread the needle maneuver again through the wormhole. And then that'll shoot us out on the other side back into the Sarnus system. And there's Sarnus dead ahead in the distance. And it's kind of shot us out on a really fast trajectory, so I'm actually going to have to burn retrograde to drop our orbit down to the orbit of Kerbin. And then now I'm just working on getting that flyby here. And then making sure that we're on a nice equatorial orbit. And here we are back in the Kerbin system a number of years later. Just executing that burn to circularize. But yeah, now that we've arrived, I'll just have to wait for, I guess, maybe a shuttle to come pick these guys up, since this super highly radioactive craft has to remain in orbit. But yeah, that's going to be about it for the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see more modded Kerbal Space Program content.